I tried it. "It's delicious," she said. That afternoon I understood that poison doesn't always come in dark bottles. Sometimes it arrives in a fine china teacup, served with a perfect smile and flawless nails. My name is Rachel Smith. I'm 59 years old, and this is the story I kept as a sacred secret for months until life itself delivered justice. It all began on a May afternoon, the kind of afternoon that smells like gardenias and freshly baked bread. My daughter-in-law, Chloe, had insisted on hosting a tea party at my house in the backyard where I've grown jasmine for 30 years. "Mom, I want it to be special," she told me on the phone that morning. Her voice was sweet, almost syrupy. "I'll invite my mom, too. It would be nice for you two to get to know each other better." I should have seen it coming. But when you want to believe in goodness, you close your eyes to the signs. That afternoon, Chloe arrived 2 hours early. She brought a huge bag from Saks Fifth Avenue and that smile that always made me nervous, the one she used when she wanted something. "I brought everything, Mom. You don't worry about a thing. Today I'm spoiling you." She set herself up in my kitchen as if it were hers. She took out china cups I didn't recognize, imported cookies, a 3-layer cake from an expensive bakery in Beverly Hills. Everything seemed perfect, too perfect. While she prepared the tea, I arranged the chairs in the garden. I could hear her moving in the kitchen, opening drawers, looking for things. At one point, I heard the unmistakable sound of her Louis Vuitton bag opening. A zipper, a small bottle. "Do you need help, sweetie?" I asked from the doorway. She jumped. For a second, I saw something in her eyes. Fear, maybe, or guilt. No, Mom, I'm almost done. Go sit down. My mom will be here any minute." Mrs. Davis arrived 15 minutes later. An elegant woman of 67, always perfumed and with that air of superiority that made me feel small. It was obvious where Chloe got that coldness disguised as courtesy. The three of us sat under the bougainvillea. The afternoon sun painted everything gold. Chloe served the tea with a radiant smile. First she served her mother, then me, and finally herself. "Cheers to the strong women of this family," Chloe said, raising her cup. But I noticed something. The cup she gave me had a tiny chip on the rim, an almost invisible imperfection, and her mother's was flawless. 30 years of marriage taught me to read the little things. My late husband Isaac always said, "Rachel, you have an eagle eye for details." Something wasn't right. "Try it, it's delicious," Chloe told me, pointing insistently at my cup. Mrs. Davis had already taken a long sip. This is good, Chloe. What kind of tea is it?" "Imported green tea. Mom, from Japan. Very healthy." I lifted my cup, brought it to my lips, and at that moment, I saw Chloe's reflection in the porcelain. She was watching me with an intensity that chilled my blood. In that instant, I knew. I don't know how or why, but I knew. "Oh, excuse me, sweetie," I said, putting the cup down on the table. "I think I made a mistake. This cup has a chipped rim. I'm afraid I'll cut myself. Let me get another one from the kitchen." I stood up. I picked up my cup and Mrs. Davis's cup. "No, Mom, I'll go." "Don't worry, sweetie. I'll be back in 2 seconds." I went into the kitchen. My heart was pounding like a war drum. I did something I never thought I would do, something that to this day I question if it was right. I swapped the contents of the 2 cups. The one that was for me, I poured into Mrs. Davis's cup. The one she had half drunk, I kept for myself. When I returned to the garden, Chloe's eyes were fixed on me. "Ready?" I said with a smile. "Here we go. Cheers." I took a sip from Mrs. Davis's original cup. It tasted normal. Green tea with a hint of honey. Chloe relaxed her shoulders. "Cheers," she repeated, but her eyes remained fixed on the cup her mother now held. Mrs. Davis took another long drink. "It's delicious, honey." 5 minutes passed. We talked about trivial things. The weather, a cousin's wedding, grocery prices. And then it happened. Mrs. Davis put her hand to her stomach. Her face turned pale. "Chloe, I feel sick." "Sick how, Mom?" "My stomach. Something is hitting me really hard." Mrs. Davis doubled over. A groan. Then another. "Mom!" Chloe jumped up. The panic on her face was real. This was not in her plan. "Mom, call an ambulance." I ran inside. I dialed 911. My voice was trembling. "My guest is very sick. Severe abdominal pain. 22 River Creek Drive, Maplewood." When I returned, Mrs. Davis was on the garden floor writhing. Chloe was crying, but in her eyes there was something more than worry. There was terror. The paramedics arrived in 10 minutes. They took Mrs. Davis away on a stretcher. Chloe got into the ambulance with her. Before she left, she looked at me from the door, and in that moment we both knew. I knew what she had done, and she knew that I knew. But neither of us said a word. I was left alone in the garden. The 3 cups were still on the table. Mine, Mrs. Davis's, Chloe's. I took the one that was originally mine, the one Mrs. Davis now had. I smelled it carefully. Green tea, honey, and something else, something slightly bitter that shouldn't have been there. I sealed that cup in a plastic bag. I hid it in the back of my closet. I didn't know if I would ever need it, but a voice inside me told me to keep it. I couldn't sleep that night. I stared at the ceiling, wondering what kind of woman was capable of poisoning her own mother-in-law in her own garden, and wondering, too, what kind of woman was I who had switched the cups without a second thought. Sometimes we trust the wrong people too much. Have you also been disappointed by someone you loved? Tell me your story in the comments. I want to read them. Before everything shattered, my life with Chloe was normal, or at least that's what I wanted to believe. I met my daughter-in-law 4 years ago when my son Stephen brought her to dinner one Sunday. It was June. I remember I made my famous brisket, my late husband Isaac's favorite dish. A way of honoring his memory, I suppose. Chloe arrived in a flawless white dress and sky-high heels. She kissed my cheek, leaving a coral lipstick mark I had to wipe off later. She smelled like expensive perfume from Saks. "Mrs. Smith, it's an honor to meet you. Stephen says wonderful things about you." Her smile was perfect, too perfect, like one from a society magazine. Stephen was radiant. My son, my only son, with that look of a man in love that disarms any mother. He was 32 then. He worked as an architect at a major firm downtown. He was a good man, honest, hardworking, just like his father. Mom Chloe studied interior design at a top school, he told me while pouring the wine. She has incredible taste. "Oh, Stephen, you're making me blush," she replied, touching her hair. That night, Chloe praised every corner of my house, the paintings I inherited from my mother, the mahogany dining table Isaac and I bought on our first anniversary, even the linen curtains I had picked out myself at an antique market downtown. "Rachel, you have a natural talent for decorating. This house is a gem." She made me feel seen, valued, something I hadn't felt since Isaac died 3 years earlier. Maybe that's why I let my guard down. The wedding was 8 months later, a grand ceremony at the manor. 200 guests imported flowers, a wedding dress that cost more than my first car. Mrs. Davis, Chloe's mother, handled almost everything. She was a widow too, but of a man who had left her properties in Beverly Hills and a bank account that let her live without worry. "Rachel let me take care of the flower arrangements," she told me one afternoon over coffee at her 3-story house. "You've worked enough in your life. It's time for you to rest." It sounded generous, but there was something in her tone that made me feel as if my lifetime of effort didn't have the same value as her inherited money. Still, I smiled and accepted. I wanted Stephen to be happy, and Chloe made him happy, or so I thought. The first 2 years of marriage were calm. Stephen and Chloe lived in an apartment in Silver Lake. I visited them every 2 weeks, always bringing something. A lemon pie, casseroles, chicken soup when it was cold. "Mom, you shouldn't have," Chloe would say, taking the containers, but I noticed how she left them on the kitchen counter without opening them, as if they were a burden. Stephen, on the other hand, dove for the food like a kid at Christmas. "Mom, nobody cooks like you, I swear." Chloe would smile, but I saw how she clenched her jaw. Things started to change when Isaac Sr., my father-in-law, my late husband's father, passed away a 1.5 years ago. He left this house, the house where I'm sitting now, the house with the jasmine garden, and the bougainvillea I planted myself. The will was clear. The property was mine as long as I lived. Afterward, it would pass to Stephen. It was an old but beautiful house in an area that had become extremely valuable. Real estate developers started knocking on my door, offering absurd amounts of money. "Ma'am, we're offering $2 million, cash. You could be living anywhere you want in a week." I always refused. This house had a soul. I raised Stephen here. I cooked thousands of meals for Isaac here. I mourned his death here and learned to live alone. It wasn't a property, it was my history. But for Chloe, it was an investment. "Mom, have you ever thought about selling?" The question came 3 months after Grandpa's funeral. We were in my kitchen. I was making iced tea. Chloe was flipping through a real estate magazine. "Selling, no, sweetie. This house is my home." "Yes, of course, but it's so big for you all alone, and it requires maintenance. Wouldn't a modern apartment be more comfortable with an elevator private security? I'm comfortable here." Yes, I only mention it because, well, Stephen and I are thinking of having a baby soon, and a bigger house would be nice, but obviously without a down payment, it's difficult. There it was, the real reason. "Chloe, when I'm gone, this house will be Stephen's. That's what the will says." "Oh, Mom, don't talk like that. You're going to live for many more years. It's just that in this city, opportunities don't wait. If we could access that capital now—" She didn't finish the sentence. But the message was clear. They wanted me out, fast. From that day on, the visits became more frequent. But they weren't family visits anymore. Chloe would arrive with catalogs for assisted living residences. "Look how nice these are, Mom. They have gardens, activities, 24-hour nurses." "I don't need nurses." Of course. It's just in case. At your age, you never know." At my age. I was 58 then. I walked 5 miles a day. I cooked, I gardened. I read 3 books a month. I was not an old woman. But to Chloe, I was an obstacle with an expiration date. Stephen, my poor son, was caught in the middle. "Mom, Chloe just wants what's best for you," he'd say when I told him about the conversations. "She's worried." Is she worried about me or about the house, Stephen? He would fall silent, because deep down he knew it too. But love makes us ignore what we don't want to see. Still, I tried to keep the peace. I organized dinners. I called Chloe to ask how she was. I gave her a pearl necklace that had belonged to my mother as a gesture of affection. Chloe received it with a polite smile. "Thank you, Mom. It's vintage. Vintage. As if it were old and worthless." That night when I got home, I sat in the kitchen and cried. Not for the necklace, but because I realized I would never be good enough for her. I wasn't Mrs. Davis with money and properties. I was just Rachel, the widow of a bank employee who worked his whole life to give his son a good future. And to Chloe, that had no value. As I tell this, I wonder where you're listening from. Write the name of your city in the comments. But I kept trying because when you're a mother, you cling to the hope that things will get better. Until that May afternoon arrived. The afternoon of the tea. The afternoon I understood that my daughter-in-law didn't just want me out, she wanted me eliminated. The day after the tea, Mrs. Davis was discharged from the hospital. Severe food poisoning, the doctor said. Probably something she ate that was spoiled. They prescribed fluids, rest, and a bland diet. Chloe called me that afternoon. Her voice sounded tired, but there was something else, something forced. "Mom, the doctors say it was the cake. It seems it was bad. What a shame. But well, my mom is already better." "What a relief, sweetie. Give her my best." Yes. Hey, one thing. Did you save any of the tea, the cups, the cake? Anything?" My heart stopped for a second. "No, sweetie. I threw everything out after you left." "Why?" Silence. "No, for no reason. Just asking." "Well, I'll let you rest. Thanks for everything." She hung up before I could say goodbye. I stared at the phone. Chloe was looking for evidence. She wanted to know if I had kept anything that could incriminate her. The cup was still hidden in my closet, wrapped in a plastic bag with the contents intact. 2 weeks passed. Stephen didn't call, not once. That wasn't normal. My son called me every 2 days without fail, even if it was just to ask how I'd slept. The silence hurt more than any word. Finally, I couldn't take it anymore. I dialed his number. "Hello? Stephen, honey, how are you?" "Oh, Mom, hi." His voice sounded distant. "I haven't heard from you in 2 weeks. Is everything okay?" Yeah, just, we've been really busy. Chloe has been taking care of her mom." "Of course I understand. And how are you?" "Fine, Mom. Look, I'm in a meeting. Can I call you back later?" "Of course, honey." He never called back. The third week, Mrs. Davis appeared at my door. She didn't ring the bell. She was just there when I opened it to get the newspaper, standing on my porch wearing dark sunglasses and a Hermes scarf. "Rachel, we need to talk." It wasn't a request. It was an order. I let her in. I offered her coffee. She refused. She sat in my living room as if she were appraising a property. Her eyes scanned every painting, every piece of furniture, every detail. "Nice house," she said finally. "Very cozy." Cozy. The word polite people use when they mean outdated. "Thank you, Mrs. Davis. What can I help you with?" She took off her glasses. Her eyes were tired, but there was a hardness in them I hadn't seen before. "I came to talk about what happened at the tea." My stomach tightened. "It was terrible. Thank God you're better." "Yes, terrible," she paused. "Rachel, did you switch the cups that day?" The world stopped. "I'm sorry." "The cups. You went into the kitchen with 2 cups and came out with 2 cups, but I could swear the one you gave me afterward was not the same one I had before." I stayed very still like a rabbit in front of a predator. "Mrs. Davis, I don't understand what you're implying." "I'm not implying anything. I'm asking directly." We stared at each other. 2 women. 2 mothers. 2 completely different worlds. "I didn't switch anything," I lied. Maybe the shock of the moment, the scare. She didn't believe me. I saw it in her eyes. She stood up, walked to the window overlooking the garden, the same window where the tea table had been. "My daughter has been very nervous lately," she said without looking at me. "She says you look at her strangely, that she feels you're judging her." "I would never. Chloe is a good woman, Rachel, an excellent wife. Stephen is lucky to have her." "I know. She just wants what's best for her family, for her future. Is that so wrong?" There it was, the real message. "Of course not." "I'm glad we agree," she turned to me, "because it would be terrible if a misunderstanding caused problems between you and your son. Families should stick together, don't you think?" It was a threat disguised as motherly advice. "Chloe mentioned you've been offered very good money for this house. It's not for sale." "Everything is for sale, Rachel. It's just a matter of finding the right price." She walked to the door. Before leaving, she stopped. "Oh, and one more thing. The doctors found traces of an industrial laxative in my blood analysis, something highly concentrated. It could have been fatal if the dose had been higher." My blood ran cold. "How horrible," I managed to say. "Yes, horrible. Thank goodness it was my system that received it and not someone else's. Someone delicate." She stared at me. "Someone with heart problems, for example." "I have an arrhythmia." Chloe knew that. Everyone knew. "Thank goodness," I repeated. Mrs. Davis smiled a smile as cold as ice. "Take good care of yourself, Rachel. At our age, anything can happen." And she left. I stood paralyzed in my living room for an hour, maybe more. Mrs. Davis knew. She knew Chloe had tried to poison me, and instead of being horrified, instead of confronting her daughter, she was threatening me to keep quiet. Because the house was worth millions, and I was the only obstacle. That night I took the cup out of the closet. I looked at it under the lamplight. The contents had dried a bit, but they were still there. Should I go to the police? With what proof? A cup with dried tea and my word against 2 high society women, and Stephen. If I accused his wife of attempted murder, I would lose him forever. My son, my only son. The reason I got up every morning since Isaac died. I put the cup away again. I hid it deeper this time in an old shoebox behind winter coats I no longer used, and I made a decision. I wouldn't go to the police, not yet. But I wouldn't be the silent victim they expected either. I started documenting everything, every call, every visit, every comment about selling the house. I bought a small voice recorder on Amazon, one of those old-fashioned ones nobody would suspect. And I waited. Because if I had learned anything in 59 years of life, it was this. The truth always finds its moment, and justice, even if it's late, always arrives. 2 days later, Stephen finally showed up. He arrived on a Sunday afternoon, alone, without Chloe. He hugged me like he did when he was a boy. And for a moment, everything was okay. Sorry for not calling Mom. Things have been complicated. I know, honey. It's okay. I made your favorite chili. His eyes lit up. We ate in silence for a while. He devoured the chili as if he hadn't eaten in days. I just watched him. My boy, my man, trapped between two women who loved him in very different ways. Mom, I have to tell you something. My heart sped up. Chloe is pregnant. The world stopped again. Pregnant? Yes, 2 months. We haven't told anyone yet. You're the first to know. I should have felt joy. I was going to be a grandmother. It was what I had always dreamed of. But all I felt was fear. Because now I understood the urgency. Chloe didn't just want my house. She wanted me to disappear before that baby was born, so the child could grow up in my house, with my garden, on top of my memories, and I wouldn't be there to see my grandchild grow. That's wonderful, honey, I managed to say. Congratulations. Stephen smiled. He took my hand. You're going to be the best grandmother in the world, Mom. If only he knew. If only I could tell him that his wife had tried to poison me 3 weeks earlier. But I couldn't, because I knew he wouldn't believe me. Chloe had won this battle, but the war was just beginning. I still wonder if I did the right thing by staying silent that day. What about you? What would you have done in my place? I decided to be the perfect mother-in-law. If Chloe wanted me to disappear, I would do the exact opposite. I would make myself indispensable, so helpful, so present, so loving, that they would have no choice but to accept me. Or so I thought. A week after finding out about the pregnancy, I knocked on their apartment door with a huge basket. I brought everything. Ginger tea for the nausea, saltine crackers, prenatal vitamins, a book on motherhood that had helped me when I was expecting Stephen. Chloe opened the door in her pajamas. She looked tired. She had lost her usual shine. Mom, what a surprise. I came to spoil you, sweetie. I know the first few weeks are tough. Something passed through her eyes. Guilt, discomfort. I don't know. But she let me in. I made ginger tea while she sat on the sofa, her legs curled up. I told her stories about my own pregnancy, about how Isaac would bring me tacos at 3 a.m. because I was craving them, about how Stephen would kick every time he heard Johnny Cash. Chloe smiled, a small smile, almost real. Stephen kicked a lot, like a soccer player. He wouldn't let me sleep, but every kick reminded me he was alive. It was the most beautiful thing in the world. I'm scared, she said suddenly. Her voice was almost a whisper. Of what, sweetie? Of not being a good mother, of not knowing what to do. My mom was always so perfect, so in control. I don't know if I can be like that. For the first time, I saw a vulnerable woman behind the facade, a scared woman, just like I had been 33 years ago. Nobody is born knowing, Chloe. We all learn as we go, and you're going to do great. You have Stephen, and you have me. She looked at me intently. Despite everything. Despite what? She fell silent. She looked down at her teacup. Nothing. Forget it. But I knew what she meant. Despite the tea, despite the cups, despite the poison that almost killed me. She was waiting for me to say something, to confront her. But I didn't, because it was easier to pretend that nothing had happened, that we could start over. Denial is a powerful drug. From that day on, I became Chloe's shadow. I went to her doctor's appointments. I cooked her nutritious meals. I knitted booties and sweaters for the baby. I put up with her mood swings, her impossible cravings, her constant complaints. Mom, can you bring me some strawberries with chili? But make sure they're the organic ones from Whole Foods. I don't like the other ones. Of course, sweetie. I would drive 40 minutes to the specialty market, buy the exact strawberries, come back, take them to her. Chloe would try one, make a face. Ugh, I don't want them anymore, just put them away. And I would smile. Don't worry, I'll put them away. Stephen was happy. His mom and his wife were getting along. His baby was on the way. His perfect life. Mom, you don't know how much it means to me that you're so involved, he'd tell me. Chloe adores you. I would nod, pretend to believe him. But at night when I returned to my empty house, I would sit in the garden and cry. I cried for the woman I had been. The one who respected herself. The one who didn't let herself be walked all over. I was making myself small, invisible, harmless, all to keep my son close. In the 4th month of pregnancy, Mrs. Davis organized a baby shower. In the garden of her 3-story house, with professional decorations, white and gold balloons, a dessert table that cost more than my monthly mortgage. I didn't organize anything. They didn't even ask for my opinion. I arrived with a modest gift, a wooden mobile I had found at a craft market. I had chosen it with love. It had hand-carved moons and stars. Chloe opened it in front of all the guests, 50 elegant women I didn't know. Oh, how nice. Thank you, Mom. She set it aside. She kept opening other gifts, a bugaboo stroller, a snoo bassinet, clothes from European brands I didn't even know existed, one of Chloe's friends, a woman with long nails and Chanel sunglasses, approached me. You're Stephen's mom. Yes. Chloe told me you live in an incredible house, colonial right in an area that's really appreciating. Yes. What luck. Those properties are worth gold. If I were you, I'd sell now while everything is at its peak. Developers are paying fortunes. She smiled, but it wasn't a friendly smile. Chloe had sent her, to plant the idea, to pressure me. It's not for sale, I said firmly. Oh, what a shame. Well, when you change your mind, let me know. I have excellent contacts. She gave me a card, Wendy Miller, luxury real estate agent. I put it in my purse, not out of interest, but as more evidence that the pressure was ongoing. That night, Stephen walked me to my car. Mom, are you okay? You seemed a little quiet. I'm fine, honey, just tired. Are you sure, I looked at him. My boy. He wasn't a boy anymore. He was a 33-year-old man, a father-to-be, with responsibilities. But to me, he would always be my baby. Stephen, are you happy? The question caught him off guard. Of course, Mom. Why do you ask? I just want to be sure. He hugged me tightly. I'm the happiest man in the world. I have an incredible wife, a baby on the way, and the best mom in the universe. What more could I ask for? I should have felt peace, but all I felt was a deep emptiness, because my son was happy in a lie, and I was holding that lie together with my own 2 hands. As I tell this, I wonder where you're listening from. Write the name of your city in the comments. The following months were more of the same. I cooked, I cleaned, I cared for her. I served. Chloe treated me like a high-class maid. Mom, can you wash these bottles? Mom, can you iron these baby clothes? Mom, can you stay and keep me company while Stephen goes to work? I'm scared to be alone. And I said yes to everything, because I was afraid. Afraid that if I said no, they would keep me away from this baby who wasn't born yet, but whom I already loved like crazy. One afternoon, while I was folding laundry in her bedroom, I found something. A folder hidden under some sweaters in the closet. I shouldn't have opened it, I know, but I did. Inside were documents, price quotes from real estate agents for my house, remodeling blueprints, budgets from construction companies. They had already planned everything, even the paint color for what would be the baby's room, in my house, as if I no longer existed. I closed the folder. I put it back exactly where it was. I finished folding the clothes. When Chloe came back from the bathroom, I was smiling. Everything okay, Mom? Everything's perfect, sweetie. But something in me broke that day. A thin layer of ice I had been walking on for months finally cracked. I couldn't keep pretending. I couldn't keep being small. I had to protect myself even if it meant losing my son. Because I had realized something terrible. I was losing myself. and if I lost myself completely, there would be nothing left of me for the grandchild who was on his way. That night, I took out the teacup again. I placed it on my kitchen table. I looked at it under the light, and I made a decision. I wouldn't run anymore. I wouldn't make myself invisible. If Chloe wanted a war, she would get one. But mine would be silent, patient, and just. Because the truth, no matter how deep you bury it, always finds a way to bloom. Like the jasmine in my garden, which returns every spring without asking anyone for permission. The first clue came by accident. It was a Tuesday afternoon. Stephen had asked me to stop by their apartment to water the plants because he and Chloe were going to Palm Springs for the weekend. "A baby moon," he said. "Thanks, Mom. You're an angel." I had a key to their apartment since they got married. For emergencies, they had said. I went in. I watered the plants. And as I was leaving, I saw Chloe's iPad on the dining room table. It was on. The screen was glowing. I shouldn't have looked. I know. But something stopped me. On the screen was an open chat, a WhatsApp group called the Power Players, Chloe Mrs. Davis, and 2 other names I didn't recognize. The most recent message was from Mrs. Davis. "Did you tell her about the residence in Pasadena? It's perfect for people her age. It has a garden activities. She'll feel less alone." Chloe had replied, "I've mentioned it 3 times. She refuses. Says that house is her life." Wendy, the agent from the baby shower. "There are ways to convince people, all legal, guardianship due to incapacity, a good lawyer, a friendly psychiatrist, and boom, she's declared unfit to make decisions, and the son becomes the legal guardian." Mrs. Davis. "Exactly. We did the same thing with Aunt Carmen. 6 months later, she was in a luxury nursing home, and we sold her house without any problems." Chloe. "I don't know, Mom. Stephen would never agree to that." Mrs. Davis. "Stephen will agree to whatever you tell him, sweetie. He always has. You just need to frame it right. Your mom is depressed. She's not taking care of herself. She's forgetting things. She's at risk. Once he sees it's for her own good, he'll sign whatever you want." Wendy. "In the meantime, I'll prepare the sale. I have 3 interested buyers for that area. Cash, no financing, quick and clean." Chloe. "Let me think about it. Stephen is so happy right now with the baby. I don't want to stress him out." Mrs. Davis. "Think fast. The longer you wait, the harder it gets. And remember that baby needs space. He needs a garden. He needs what's rightfully his." My hands were shaking so much I almost dropped the iPad. Guardianship. Declare me incompetent. Take away my rights. Lock me in a residence as if I were a senile old woman, and all legal, all for my own good. I took pictures of the screen with my phone. Screenshot after screenshot, every message, every date. Then I turned off the iPad. I left it exactly where it was and got out of the apartment. I drove home on autopilot. I don't remember the route. I just remember that when I arrived, I ran to the bathroom and threw up. Not from nausea, but from disgust, from betrayal, from the horror of knowing your own family is conspiring to steal your life. I didn't sleep that night. I stayed in the kitchen looking at the photos on my phone over and over. We did the same thing with Aunt Carmen. As if it were a recipe. As if destroying a person's life was something you plan with friends over coffee. The next day, I Googled guardianship due to incapacity in my state. I read for hours. Legal articles, real cases, forums of people who had gone through the same thing. I discovered it was easier than I thought. With 2 witnesses, a psychiatrist who declares you're unfit to manage your assets, and a judge who signs off. You lose everything, your house, your money, your dignity, your freedom, and the person who becomes your guardian can do whatever they want with you. Sell your house, put you in a home, decide if you live or die, all legal, all for your own good. I needed help, but from whom I didn't have many friends. After Isaac died, I drifted away from people. Grief made me solitary. But there was one person. Just one. Martha, my second cousin, a retired lawyer, 72 years old, a woman who had seen it all in her 40-year career. I called her. "Rachel, how wonderful to hear from you. How are you?" "Martha, I need your help, and I need everything I tell you to stay between us." There was a silence. "Are you in danger?" Yes. Come to my house. Now. Martha lived in a small house in Greenwich Village filled with books, plants, and 2 fat cats sleeping on every piece of furniture. I told her everything. The tea, the cups, the saved cup, the messages, the guardianship plans. She listened without interrupting, taking notes in an old notebook. When I finished, she took off her glasses and looked at me with a mix of sadness and fury. Rachel, this is serious, very serious. I know. The tea incident is attempted murder. With the cup as evidence, you could go to the police. But then I'd lose Stephen. Maybe you've already lost him. Her words cut through me like a knife. What do I do, Martha? She sighed. She got up. She made chamomile tea for both of us. First, you need to protect yourself legally. You need to make a living will. Make it crystal clear that you are of sound mind, that any attempt at guardianship would be fraudulent. Does that work? It helps, a lot. But it's not enough. You also need to document everything, every visit, every conversation, every bit of pressure to sell the house. I've already started. Good. Keep doing it. And keep everything in a safe place, not in your house, with me. Or in a bank safe deposit box. Your choice. Okay. And the tea, Rachel. That evidence is gold. But you have to decide if you're willing to use it, because if you do, there's no going back. And if I don't use it, then I'm still vulnerable. They know that I know, and they know I haven't done anything. That makes them more dangerous. I left Martha's house with a plan, vague, incomplete. But it was something. First, living will. Martha would help me draft it. Second, a hidden camera in my living room to record any conversation. Third, copies of everything, the messages, the photos, the cup, all stored in 3 different places. Fourth, keep pretending. Keep being the perfect mother-in-law, because if they suspected I knew, they would accelerate their plans. When Stephen and Chloe returned from Palm Springs, I visited them as usual, with food, with smiles, with affection. Chloe greeted me with a hug. Mom, so good to see you. How was your weekend? Quiet, sweetie. I watered your plants. Everything's perfect. Thank you. You're always so thoughtful. We looked at each other. For a second, I saw something in her eyes. Suspicion, fear. But it passed quickly. We had dinner. We talked about the baby, about names, about whether it would be a boy or a girl. Everything so normal, so familiar, so fake. That night when I got home, I installed the camera I had bought on Amazon. It was tiny, the size of a button. I hid it in the bookshelf in the living room, pointed right at the sofa where guests always sat. No one would notice it, and it would record everything. 2 weeks later, my trap worked. Mrs. Davis arrived unannounced, again, as if my house were hers. Rachel, do you have a moment? Of course, come in. She sat on the sofa, right in front of the camera. Perfect. I came to talk about something delicate. Go on. Chloe is worried about you. She says she's noticed you've been distracted lately, forgetful. My heart started to pound. It was starting, the guardianship plan. Forgetful, I don't understand. She says you repeat stories, that you forget conversations, that you left the stove on the other day. A lie, all of it, but she said it with such conviction. I haven't left any stove on. Rachel, it's not your fault. At our age, the brain starts to fail. It's natural, but it's dangerous to live alone. I am perfectly fine. Are you... She looked at me with fake pity. Then tell me, what day is it today? Thursday. The date, September 24th. The year, I stared at her. 2025, and I know exactly what you're doing, Mrs. Davis. Her face changed. The mask of concern fell. Oh, really? And what am I doing? Trying to make me seem incompetent, to take my house. Silence. Long. Tense. Finally, she smiled. A cold smile. No one is going to take anything from you, Rachel. We just want to take care of you. But if you prefer to live in denial, that's fine. We'll see how this ends. She stood up, walked to the door. Before leaving, she turned. By the way, Stephen signed some papers yesterday. A limited power of attorney, just in case you ever need help with medical or financial decisions. You know, just in case something happened to you. My blood froze. What papers? Ask your son. It was his idea. Well, Chloe suggested it, but he agreed, because he loves you and wants to protect you. And she left. I stood in my living room shaking. Power of attorney. Stephen had signed a power of attorney, without telling me, without asking me. The trap was closing, slowly but surely, and my own son was helping to close it. That night, I called Stephen. "Honey, I need to see you. Just you and me." "Did something happen, Mom? You sound strange." "I need to talk to you. It's important." There was a pause. "Tomorrow is fine. I can stop by after work." "Perfect." I made his favorite meal. Meat lasagna like I used to make him when he was a kid, garlic bread, sweet tea. Stephen arrived on time. He hugged me. He smelled like the same cologne his father used to wear. "Smells delicious, Mom." We ate in silence for a bit. I watched him, searching for signs of guilt, of knowledge, of anything. But I just saw my son, my boy, eating lasagna with that smile that melted my heart. "Stephen, did you sign some papers? A power of attorney?" He stopped, his fork halfway to his mouth. "How did you know? Mrs. Davis came by yesterday." He put the fork down. "Mom, I was going to talk to you about it, I swear, but Chloe said it was better to do it first and explain later." "Explain what?" "It's just a precaution, a limited power of attorney, in case something happens to you, if you got sick and couldn't make decisions. I would be the one who could help you. It's normal. A lot of people do it." "And why didn't you ask me first?" "Why?" "Because Chloe said you'd get upset. That you'd think we want to control you. And it's not like that, Mom. We just want to take care of you." I looked at him. "Chloe told you that?" "Yes. And she was right, wasn't she? You're upset." "I'm not upset, honey. I'm scared." "Scared of what?" I took a deep breath. This was the moment. I could tell him everything. The tea, the cups, the messages, the guardianship plan. But if I did, would he believe me? Or would he think I was losing my mind? Scared of losing my independence, of people deciding for me, of being treated like I can't think for myself anymore. "Mom, nobody is going to do that. Do you promise me?" "I promise." But his words sounded hollow, memorized, like something Chloe had told him to say. "Honey, are you happy?" The question caught him off guard. "I already told you. I'm very happy." "With Chloe?" "Yes. Why do you ask?" "Because sometimes I feel that she doesn't want me around, that I'm a burden." "That's not true, Mom. Chloe adores you." "Then why does she talk about selling my house every time she sees me? Why does every visit end with her suggesting nursing homes? Why do I feel like she's just waiting for me to disappear?" Stephen turned pale. "Mom, are you exaggerating?" "Am I?" I stood up. I went to my bedroom. I got the folder with the printouts of the WhatsApp group messages. I had kept them in a discreet folder. I put them in front of him. "Read." "What is this?" "Read." He started to read. I watched his face change, from confusion to shock, from shock to disbelief. "Where did you get this? It doesn't matter where. Is it true?" I don't know. I've never seen these messages." "But you know the plan, don't you, guardianship? Declare me incompetent. Sell my house. Is that what you want?" "No, I would never. Mom, I would never sign something like that." "You already signed the power of attorney. That's different." "Is it different, or is it the first step?" He stood up. He started pacing my living room. "I can't believe, Chloe, that her mom... There has to be an explanation. The explanation is that they want my house, and I'm in the way. No, it has to be a misunderstanding. I'm going to talk to her, right now." He grabbed his jacket. "Stephen, wait." "What?" "If you tell her you saw these messages, they'll know I have them. They'll speed everything up. Please think about this." He stood in the doorway, his back to me. "What do you want me to do, Mom?" "I want you to open your eyes. I want you to see who your wife really is." He turned around. There were tears in his eyes. "She's the mother of my child, The woman I love. I can't believe this about her. I know. And that's why I haven't told you everything. What else is there? This was the moment. I could tell him about the tea, the poisoning, the cups, but I saw his face, broken, confused, destroyed, and I couldn't. Nothing else. Just those messages. I lied. To protect him. To protect myself. I don't know. Stephen wiped his tears. I'm going to talk to her. Calmly. Without accusing. He came over. He hugged me tightly. I love you, Mom. And I swear to you, no one is going to hurt you. I swear. And he left. I stayed in my living room, alone, with the papers on the table. It had been a mistake. Showing him the messages. Now Chloe would know that I knew, and that put me in more danger. But maybe it had also been necessary, because Stephen needed to start doubting. The seeds of truth take time to sprout, but once planted, they grow. At 11 o'clock that night, I got a text from Stephen. I talked to Chloe. She says those messages are taken out of context, that her mom and her friends exaggerate sometimes, that it was never serious, that they would never hurt you. She asked me to tell you she's sorry it scared you. I read the message 3 times. Taken out of context. Of course, the perfect explanation. The one that explains nothing but sounds reasonable. I didn't reply. 2 days later, Chloe appeared at my door, alone, without Stephen. She was crying. Mom, please, I need to talk to you. I let her in. What other choice did I have? She sat on the sofa, right in front of the hidden camera. Perfect. Rachel, I don't know how to explain this. The messages, they were stupid. My mom and her friends just talk without thinking, but I swear it was never serious. It was never serious to talk about having me declared incompetent. No, well, yes, my mom mentioned it, but because she genuinely thinks you need help, not out of malice. She went through that with her aunt, and she thought it would be better to be prepared. Prepared for me to live in my own house. No, prepared so you wouldn't suffer, so you wouldn't be alone and something happened to you. She was talking fast, nervous. Her hands were shaking. Chloe, be honest with me. Do you want my house? She was quiet for a long moment, and then something in her face changed. The mask fell, just for a second. But I saw it. Yes, she said finally, almost a whisper. Yes, I want your house, because my son deserves to grow up somewhere beautiful, with a garden, with space, with history. And this house has all of that. But it's mine. I know, and I respect that. But I also think you're alone, that this house is too big, that you'd be happier somewhere you had company. You don't know what would make me happy. Maybe not. But I am the mother of the grandchild who will carry your family name, and I want what's best for him. Is that wrong? She was good, very good, twisting everything to look like the victim, the protective mother, the one who only wants the best. It's not wrong to want what's best for your son. It's wrong to try and get it by destroying others. She stood up, wiped her tears. I didn't come here to destroy you, Rachel. I came to make peace. But I see that's not going to be possible. Stephen is going to have to choose between his mother and his family. Are you threatening me? No, I'm just telling you the truth. That baby that's coming needs a father who is present, not a man torn between 2 women who can't get along. We were getting along until you tried to poison me. The words came out before I could stop them. Chloe froze. Her face went white as paper. What? What did you say? The tea, the cups. I know what you did. Absolute silence. The only sound was the wall clock. Tick, tock. Finally, Chloe smiled. But it wasn't a happy smile. It was a smile of fear. You have no proof. Are you sure? I watched her calculating, thinking, remembering. The cups. You threw them away. You said so. I lied. Her face completely fell apart. No, it can't be. It's saved, in a safe place, with the contents intact. And when they analyze it, they're going to find exactly what you put in there. Chloe started breathing fast, too fast. It was a mistake. I didn't mean to. I just wanted you to feel sick, so you'd see you couldn't keep living alone. It wasn't meant to kill you. An industrial laxative can cause cardiac arrest in someone with my condition. You knew that. No, I didn't know, I swear. Liar. She collapsed onto the sofa, crying. She was no longer the elegant, controlled woman. She was a scared girl. Please, please don't say anything. Stephen, the baby, my life will be over. I looked at her, and I felt something strange. It wasn't hatred. It wasn't satisfaction. It was sadness. Sadness for this woman who had sacrificed her humanity for a house, for money, for appearances. Get out, Chloe? What are you going to do? I don't know yet. Are you going to tell Stephen? Get out, before I change my mind. She stood up, walked to the door. Before leaving, she turned. I'm not a bad person. I know, but you did a bad thing, and that has consequences. What do you want? Money for me to leave the house alone? What? I want my son to be happy, truly happy, not happy in a lie. We all live in lies. Maybe, but I'm not going to live in yours anymore. And I closed the door. I stood on the other side, shaking. The camera had recorded everything. The confession, the fear, everything. Now I had 2 pieces of evidence, the cup and the confession. But I still didn't know what to do with them, because using either one meant destroying my son, and I had spent my entire life protecting him. What would you have done in my place? The following days were silent. Stephen didn't call. Chloe didn't show up. It was like we were all waiting for someone to make the next move. I spent my time reviewing the recording, over and over. It was a mistake. I didn't mean to. I just wanted you to feel sick. Chloe's voice. Broken. Scared. Real. Martha came to see me on a Friday afternoon. Have you decided what you're going to do with this? No. Rachel, you have 2 options. Either you take this evidence to the authorities, or you keep it as protection. But you can't stay in limbo. That will just eat you alive. If I use it, I lose Stephen. And if you don't use it, they win. And you lose everything anyway. She was right. I knew it. But the heart doesn't understand logic. On Sunday afternoon, Stephen finally showed up. He came alone. He looked haggard. He had lost weight. He had deep, dark circles under his eyes. Mom, we need to talk. Come in, honey. We sat in the kitchen. I made coffee. He didn't touch it. I've been thinking, a lot, about the messages, about what you said, about everything. And I talked to Chloe, really talked to her, for hours, for days. What did she tell you? She says her mom crossed the line, that the ideas about guardianship and all that came from Mrs. Davis and her friends, that she never agreed with it, but she didn't know how to stop them. And you believe her. I want to believe her. She's my wife. She's the mother of my child. But you have doubts. He fell silent. His hands trembled around the empty cup. Mom, there's something else. Chloe told me something. My heart stopped. What did she tell you? She says you accused her of trying to poison you. At the tea party months ago. She says that's why she's been so nervous, because you think she's capable of something like that. There it was. Chloe had struck first, planting the seed that I was crazy. And what else did she tell you? That you saved a cup, that you're holding it as evidence of something that never happened. Mom, is that true? I couldn't lie to him anymore. Yes, I saved the cup. I saw his face fall. Why would you do that? Why would you save something like that if you weren't thinking horrible things about my wife? Because it happened, Stephen. She put laxative in my tea, but I switched the cups, And the one who ended up in the hospital was Mrs. Davis. No, Mom, that's insane. Chloe would never. She confessed it to me herself, 3 days ago, in this living room. And I have it recorded. Stephen shot up from his chair. It fell backward. You recorded her. You recorded my wife in your house without her knowing, to protect myself. That's illegal. It's an invasion of privacy. And poisoning me isn't. You don't have proof of that. You just have a cup that you could have easily tampered with, and a recording you got illegally. What do you think people will think? What do you think a judge will think? His words hit me like punches. Stephen, she admitted it in her own words. Under pressure, under manipulation, you cornered her. What did you expect her to say? The truth. The truth, or the truth you wanted to hear. I looked at him, my son, my boy, defending a woman who had tried to kill me. I don't recognize you, Stephen. I don't recognize you either, Mom. The mother I knew would never have done something like this. She would never have conspired against her own family. I didn't conspire. I defended myself. Defended yourself from what? From a pregnant woman who just wants a good future for her son. Is that what she told you, that she just wants a good future? Yes, and she's right. This house is worth millions. You could live comfortably anywhere with that money. You could travel west. Stop clinging to memories that only hurt you. This house isn't just memories, it's my home. Dad isn't here anymore, Mom. It's been 4 years. You have to move on. And you have to open your eyes. My eyes are open. And what I see is a woman who is alone, bitter, and can't stand to see her son happy with someone else. The silence that followed was deafening. Those words I never thought my son would say. Stephen, if that's what you really think of me, then we have nothing left to talk about. I agree. He walked to the door. He stopped halfway. Chloe and I are going to have this baby. We're going to be a family. And we're going to be happy, with or without you. With or without me. Yes, because I choose my wife. I choose my child. And if you can't respect that, then you'll have to live with that decision. And can you live with yours? He didn't answer. He opened the door. He left. And he didn't look back. I heard his car start, drive away, disappear into the city noise. I stood in my living room. I don't know for how long, maybe minutes, maybe hours. Finally, I collapsed onto the sofa. And I cried. I cried like I hadn't cried since I buried Isaac. I cried for my son, for the relationship we had just destroyed, for the words we could never take back. I cried for me, for the woman I had been, for the woman I had become. I cried for that baby who was on his way, who would grow up without knowing his grandmother, without knowing there was someone who loved him even before he was born. The days continued, one after another, empty. I didn't call Stephen. He didn't call me. Chloe gave birth 3 weeks later. A boy, Matthew Isaac. They named him after his grandfather. I found out on Facebook. A photo. Chloe in the hospital bed, exhausted but radiant. Stephen holding a small bundle wrapped in blue. Mrs. Davis at their side, smiling like a queen. The perfect family. Without me. I put my phone away. I poured myself a glass of wine, and I made a toast. Alone. For you, Matthew, may life treat you better than it treated your grandmother. 2 months passed. The house felt bigger every day, emptier, more full of echoes. Martha came to visit me every week. Has he called you? No. And you? No. Rachel, you're going to have to decide. Either you fight for that relationship or you let it go. But this limbo is killing you. I already lost it, Martha. I lost him the day I chose to defend myself instead of swallowing their lie. That's not losing. That's surviving. And what's the difference? One evening in December, when the cold was already settling into the city, someone knocked on my door. It was late, almost 9 at night. I opened it carefully. It was Mrs. Davis. What are you doing here? I've come to make you a proposal. I'm not interested. I think you will be, because it involves you seeing your grandson again. That stopped me. Come in. She sat down, this time without taking off her coat. as if she didn't plan to stay long. Chloe is suffering. Stephen is suffering. That baby needs his grandmother. Then have them call me. It's not that simple. You accused my daughter of something terrible. You raised suspicions. You created a divide. I only told the truth. Your truth. But the truth is subjective, Rachel, and right now, your truth is destroying a family. I didn't destroy it. Chloe did. Mrs. Davis sighed. Look, I came to offer you a deal. You destroy that cup, you erase that recording, and you sign a document promising to never mention these accusations again. In exchange, we let you see Matthew. We integrate you back into the family. And my house, it remains yours. For now. But when you're gone, it passes to Stephen without complications. No weird wills, no strange clauses. Clean. And if I refuse, then you will never meet your grandson. Stephen will continue to believe you're crazy. And when you finally die alone in this huge house, no one will come to your funeral because there will be no one left who remembers you with affection. It was a threat, but it was also the truth. I need to think. You have until December 24th, Christmas Eve. Either you come to dinner with us, and without evidence, without resentment, or you stay alone. Forever. She stood up, walked to the door. Choose wisely, Rachel, because this is your last chance. And she left. I stayed in my living room looking at the bookshelf where the camera was hidden, looking towards my bedroom where the cup was stored. 2 pieces of truth, 2 proofs of my innocence. In exchange for a grandson, I might never know. December 24th, Christmas Eve. I woke up early. The sun was just peeking through the bougainvillea in the garden. The same bougainvillea I planted 30 years ago with Isaac. The same ones that bloomed every year without asking anyone for permission. I made coffee, I sat in the kitchen, and I made a decision. I would not go to that dinner. I would not destroy the evidence. I would not sell myself for a conditional hug from my grandson. Because if I did, what would I be teaching him? That the truth can be negotiated, that love is bought with silence, that women must swallow poison with a smile. No, I had already done that my whole life. With my mother-in-law who criticized me, with neighbors who whispered, with a system that told me being a good mother meant disappearing. No more. I dialed Martha's number. Rachel, are you okay? I need your help, today, now. Tell me. I want to make my full will. I want to leave precise instructions about what happens to this house when I die, and I want to deposit the cup and the recording in a safe place, with clear legal instructions. There was a silence. Are you sure? More sure than I've ever been in my life. Then I'm on my way. Martha arrived at 11 in the morning. She brought a lawyer friend, an older man in his 70s, with a serious face but kind eyes. Mrs. Smith, my name is Armando Velasco. Martha has briefed me on your situation. I want you to know that I am here to protect your rights, not anyone else's. Understood. Understood. We sat at my dining room table. On the table I placed everything. The cup wrapped in its plastic bag, the dried contents still visible, the USB drive with the recording of Chloe's confession, the printed messages from the WhatsApp group, the photos of the documents I found in the apartment, the log of all the visits, calls, and pressure from the last few months. Everything. This is substantial, Mr. Velasco said. With this, you could initiate criminal proceedings. I don't want criminal proceedings. I want protection. Protection from what exactly? I want that if something happens to me. If I get sick, if I fall into a coma, if I suddenly have a strange accident, if I'm declared incompetent, if I turn up dead under suspicious circumstances, I want all this evidence to be automatically delivered to the authorities. Martha took my hand. Rachel, that's a life insurance policy. Exactly. It's my life insurance policy. Because as long as they know this evidence exists and has instructions to be released, if something happens to me, they won't dare touch me. Mr. Velasco smiled, a small but real smile. It's brilliant. It's a perfect legal shield. Can it be done? Absolutely. I will draft a legal trust document. This evidence will be held in a secure trust by my firm with irrevocable instructions and an additional clause. If you are declared incompetent without your explicit consent, or if any legal action is attempted against your will, the evidence is automatically released. And my house? Your will shall be very clear. This house is yours. You can leave it to whomever you wish, your son, a foundation, a church, anyone. But no one, absolutely no one, can force you to sell it while you are alive. And the power of attorney that Stephen signed, I reviewed it. It's limited for medical emergencies only. But we are going to draft a document that explicitly revokes it and establishes that you, Rachel Smith, at 59 years of age, are in full use of your mental and physical faculties. I have recent medical evaluations here that confirm it. Martha had brought everything. Blood tests, EKGs, a psychological evaluation she had me do with a trusted professional. Everything proved that I was perfectly sane, perfectly capable. We spent the next 4 hours signing documents, giving statements, sealing, and notarizing. When we finished, Mr. Velasco put everything in a black briefcase. Mrs. Smith, this evidence is now legally protected. No one can access it without a court order. And if anything happens to you, an investigation protocol is automatically activated. The competent authorities will receive certified copies. How long does this protection last? Indefinitely, or until you decide to revoke it. I'm not going to revoke it. Then you are protected. For life. And when they left, it was already 5 p.m. In a few hours, it would be the Christmas Eve dinner at Chloe and Stephen's house. The dinner I wouldn't be attending. I sat in my garden. The air smelled like damp earth and flowers. The sky was beginning to turn orange. And for the first time in months, I felt peace. It wasn't the peace of surrender. It was the peace of decision, of knowing that I had chosen my dignity over comfort, my truth over the convenient lie. At 7 p.m., my phone rang. It was Stephen. I let it ring. 1, 2, 3 times. Finally, I answered. Hello. Mom. It's late. Are you coming? No. Silence. Why not? Because you put a price on my love, and I'm not for sale. Mom, it's not like that. It's just, we need to start over. Without grudges. Without accusations. Without truth, you mean. Why are you so stubborn? Why can't you just let it go? Because if I let it go, I'm letting go of myself. And I've lost myself enough times in my life, Stephen. I'm not going to lose myself again, not even for you. I heard him breathing, heavy, tired. Matthew is here, your grandson. He's 4 months old. He's beautiful, Mom. He has your eyes. I closed mine. The image cut through me like a knife. I know he's beautiful. Don't you want to meet him? More than anything in the world. Then I want to meet him when you come back to me, the real you, not this man they've turned you into. Nobody has turned me into anything. This is me making my own decisions. No, honey. This is you choosing comfort over truth. And I can understand it, I really can. It's easier to believe your mother is crazy than to accept that your wife tried to poison her. Stop it. I'm not going to keep listening to this. Okay, don't listen. But someday when Matthew grows up and asks you about his grandmother, what are you going to tell him? That she was crazy? Or that she was a woman who defended herself when they tried to destroy her? I'll tell him she was a woman who didn't know how to forgive. His words hurt me more than any physical blow. Forgive. You want me to forgive an assassination attempt? It was a mistake, I already told you, a stupid mistake, but it wasn't an assassination attempt. And how do you know? Because I know my wife. No, Stephen, you know the version of her that lets you sleep peacefully at night, the version you need to believe so you don't feel like your life is a lie. I'm hanging up. Wait. What? I just want you to know something. Today I signed legal documents. My will is done. This house is protected, and all the evidence I have is in a legal trust with very clear instructions. Are you threatening me? No, I'm protecting you. Because if something happens to me, if I suddenly get sick, if I have a strange accident, if I'm declared incompetent, all that evidence goes directly to the authorities, automatically. I heard a dull thud as if he had dropped something. What did you do?" "I protected myself, and in doing so, I protected you all, because now you have no reason to hurt me. It would be useless." "Mom, is that smart?" "Yes, it is, and I should have done it months ago." "Chloe is going to—" "What freak out good? Let her. Let her know that I'm not the silent victim anymore. Let her know that if she touches me, she goes down." "I can't believe you did this. I can't believe a lot of things, Stephen. But here we are." There was a long silence. I heard voices in the background. Mrs. Davis asking what was wrong. Chloe saying something I couldn't make out. "I have to go, Mom." "Okay. Merry Christmas." "Merry Christmas, son. Give Matthew a kiss for me. Even if he doesn't know who I am yet." And I hung up. I sat in my living room. The Christmas tree I had put up out of habit shimmered in the corner. Small, modest, full of old ornaments Stephen had made when he was a child. Paper angels, cardboard stars, a photo of the three of us, Isaac, Stephen, and me, 20 years ago, smiling in front of this very tree, a family that no longer existed. I ate dinner alone that night, the traditional meal I'd made in the morning, brisket stuffing hot cider, everything Isaac loved. I put his photo on the table in front of me. "I don't know if I did the right thing, my love," I told the photograph, "but I did the only thing I could. I defended myself, just like you always taught me." The house was silent. Outside, I heard the laughter of neighboring families, the pop of fireworks, the church bells from 3 blocks away. Life. Life that continued with or without me. At midnight, I went out to the garden. The air was cold clear. The sky full of stars. I knelt beside the jasmine. I touched them carefully. They were dormant for the winter, but under the earth the roots were still alive, waiting for spring to bloom again, just like me. The days passed. New Year's came and went. January brought rain. I didn't hear from Stephen. I didn't hear from Chloe. I didn't hear from Matthew. But there were no more threatening visits, no more calls from Mrs. Davis, no more real estate agents knocking on my door. The message had been clear, and they had received it. One afternoon in February, while I was watering my plants, my next-door neighbor, Mrs. Peterson, peeked over the fence. "Rachel, are you okay? I see you're very much alone lately." "I'm fine, Carmen. Just going through a difficult time." "Problems with your son?" I nodded. "Oh, sweetie, children are our greatest love and our greatest sorrow. But you'll see, it will get better. Time heals everything." "I hope so. You know my daughter is organizing a book club. We meet on Thursday afternoons. Would you like to come? We're all ladies our age. We read, drink coffee, and chat. Nothing special, but it's a nice time." I was going to say no, that I was busy, that I wasn't in the mood. But then I stopped. What was I waiting for? For Stephen to come back. For everything to go back to the way it was. That wasn't going to happen. Not soon. Maybe never. And in the meantime, what was I going to stay locked in this house waiting? I'd love to Carmen. Her face lit up. "Really? How wonderful. Thursday at 4, at my daughter's house. I'll give you the address." That Thursday, I went to the book club. There were 7 of us women, all between 50 and 75. All with stories, all with scars. We read like water for chocolate. We talked about Laura Esquivel, about the recipes our mothers taught us, about the loves we'd had, the ones we'd lost. One woman, Estelle, shared how her son hadn't spoken to her in 3 years because of problems with his wife. "It's like I died," she said, "but I keep breathing." We all nodded. We all understood, because all of us in one way or another had been made invisible, reduced, erased. But we were still here, breathing, living, blooming in the cracks. I started going every week. Then I joined a yoga class, then a painting workshop. Little by little, my life began to fill up again, not with what I had lost, but with what I was building. One afternoon in March, while I was painting a still life of fruit in class, the teacher came over. "Rachel, you have a very good eye for color. Have you painted before?" "No, I never had time." "Well, you should continue. You have talent." Talent. How long had it been since I heard that word applied to me? Not as a mother, not as a wife, not as an absent grandmother, just as Rachel, as me. In April, I received a letter. It was from Stephen. Handwritten. On the envelope, just my name. I opened it with trembling hands. Mom, it's been 4 months since we last spoke. They have been the hardest 4 months of my life. Matthew is growing. He's laughing now, grabbing toys. He recognizes my voice. And every day that passes, it hurts more that he doesn't know you. Chloe and I have been going to therapy, couples therapy, individual. We're trying to understand what happened, how we got here. I don't have answers yet. I don't know who is right. I don't know what's true and what isn't. But I know I miss you, that Matthew needs his grandmother, and that I need my mom. I'm not asking you to come running. I'm not asking you to forget. I'm just asking you not to close the door completely, because I don't want to close it, even if I don't know how to keep it open. I love you. I will always love you, even if we're broken. Stephen. I read the letter 3 times, 4, 5, and I cried. But they weren't tears of defeat. They were tears of relief, because my son was still there, confused, lost, but there. And that meant there was still hope, not to go back to what we were. That was dead. But maybe, just maybe, we could build something new, something more honest, something stronger. I wrote back a week later. Stephen, I miss you too, more than words can say. And I want to meet Matthew. I want to be part of his life. But I'm not going to pretend nothing happened. I'm not going to fake that everything is fine when it isn't. When you're ready to hear my truth, my whole truth, without judging me, without defending yourself, just listen. I'll be here. In the meantime, I'm living. I'm painting. I'm reading. I'm making friends. I'm blooming. Because I learned something in these months. I don't need to be rescued. I don't need to be completed. I am complete, with or without you. But I love you, and the door will always be open when you're ready to walk through it for real. Your mom, Rachel. Your mom. I don't know if he replied. I don't know if he will soon, but I'm not waiting anymore. I'm living. And that, I discovered, is the best act of justice I can do for myself. 3 more months passed with no news from Stephen. But I kept going. The book club became my refuge. The women I met there became more than friends. They became sisters in battle, women who had survived divorces, widowhood, absent children, illnesses. Estelle, the one who hadn't spoken to her son in 3 years, became especially close. She was 72 and had a laugh that filled rooms. You know what I discovered, Rachel? She told me one afternoon over coffee after painting class. When you stop begging for love, the universe gives it back to you in unexpected ways. How so? My son never came back, but I met a girl at the market, 25, pregnant, alone. Her family had kicked her out. I offered her help. Now she lives in the small guest room at my house. Her baby was born. A girl. And I'm her grandmother, not by blood, but by heart. She showed me pictures, a beautiful baby girl, and Estelle holding her with a tenderness that broke my heart. Sometimes the family we choose is more real than the one we were given, she continued, and that doesn't mean you don't love your son. It means you're not going to stop your life waiting for him. Her words stuck with me. In July, I started teaching traditional cooking classes at a community center. Brisket chili apple pie, all the recipes Isaac loved. The recipes my mother taught me. Young women came, single mothers, students, all wanting to learn what their grandmothers could no longer teach them. Mrs. Rachel, you cook with love, a 22-year-old girl told me. You can tell, you can feel it. It's because cooking is an act of resistance, I replied. It's saying, here I am, I'm still creating, I'm still nurturing, I'm still existing. In August, I received a call. It was a number I didn't recognize. Hello, Mrs. Rachel Smith. Yes, who is this? My name is Gabriela Torres. I'm a social worker with Adult Protective Services. I'm calling because we received an anonymous tip regarding your case. My heart stopped. What kind of tip? A report that you are a victim of financial and psychological abuse by family members, that there are attempts to strip you of your property through legal coercion. I didn't make any report. I know, it was anonymous, but I'm obligated to investigate. Could I visit you this week? Yes, of course. Gabriella arrived 2 days later. She was a woman in her 40s, short hair, a direct but kind gaze. I told her everything, from the beginning. The tea, the cups, the messages, the guardianship plan, the pressure, the breakup with Stephen. She took notes, listened without interrupting. When I finished, she closed her notebook. Mrs. Smith, what you're describing is a classic pattern of financial abuse with elements of psychological abuse. And if the part about the laxative is true, there are elements of physical violence as well. What can I do? You've already done the right thing. You protected your assets legally. You documented everything. That's perfect. But I can also offer you free psychological counseling. And I can open an official file. Not to prosecute anyone, but to have it on record in case they try anything in the future. Won't that make things worse? It could, or it could protect you. Sometimes when abusers know there's an official file, they stop, because they can't act in the shadows anymore. And if I decide not to open the file, then I simply close this case as a preventative follow-up. No consequences. You decide. I thought for a long moment. Let's open the file. Are you sure? Yes, because I'm tired of being afraid. The file was opened. No public names, no formal accusations, just as an internal record of a high-risk situation. But Gabriella told me something important. If in the future someone tries to have you declared incompetent or make any legal move against you, this file will show up, and any judge will take it into account. It's another layer of protection. September arrived with unusual heat. One afternoon while I was painting in the garden, I heard someone knock at the door. It was Mrs. Davis. But it wasn't the Mrs. Davis from before. She looked diminished, smaller, older. "Rachel, I need to talk to you." "About what?" "About Chloe." Something in her voice made me let her in. We sat in the living room. She stared at the floor, not at me. "Chloe and Stephen are getting a divorce." The words hit me like a bucket of cold water. "What?" "They've been in therapy for 3 months, but every session drives them further apart. Stephen discovered things Chloe had hidden from him." "What things?" Mrs. Davis took a deep breath. "Debts. A lot of debts. From credit cards, loans, all in Stephen's name without him knowing. Chloe signed for them with the power of attorney he gave her. She thought no one would notice." My God. But he did notice, because the bank called him, $200,000 in debt, jewelry, clothes, trips, things she didn't even use. She just bought to buy, to fill voids. And Stephen, he's devastated. He feels betrayed, deceived, and... She paused for a long time. And he started to wonder what else Chloe had hidden from him. Did she tell him about the tea? No. Chloe still denies it, says you invented everything. But Stephen doesn't believe her anymore. The doubt is there. And where there's doubt, trust doesn't return. Exactly. We sat in silence. "Why are you telling me this?" I finally asked. Mrs. Davis looked up. There were tears in her eyes. "Because I was like Chloe, too, many years ago, arrogant, ambitious, stepping on anyone I needed to. And I lost things. I lost people. I lost my soul, almost. And now I'm an old woman who realizes that money doesn't hug you at night, that properties don't keep you company when you're sick, that appearances don't fill the void. What do you want, Mrs. Davis? I want to ask for your forgiveness, for everything, for threatening you, for pressuring you, for protecting my daughter when I knew she was wrong. I turned her into what she is. I taught her that material things were all that mattered, and now she's paying the consequences. I can't forgive her in Stephen's name. I know. I'm not asking for that. I'm just asking that If he comes to you, if he seeks your advice, don't push him away, because he needs you. And Matthew needs you too. How is Matthew? Beautiful, smart, smiling, but confused. He feels the tension. He cries more, as if he knows his family is falling apart. My heart ached. Where are they living? Stephen rented a small apartment. He takes Matthew every weekend. Chloe is at my house. She can't pay her rent. The debts ate up everything. And you? I'm trying to clean up the mess. Selling things. Paying debts. Facing the reality that my daughter has a problem. That she needs professional help. Not just couples therapy, but real treatment. For the compulsion. For the void she tries to fill by buying. Mrs. Davis left half an hour later. She left me a piece of paper with Stephen's number. In case you ever want to call him, he doesn't dare call you, but he misses you every day. I kept the paper. I didn't call. Not yet. Because something in me knew that Stephen needed to get here on his own. He needed to hit rock bottom. He needed to understand for himself all the truths I had tried to show him. In October, autumn finally arrived. The leaves began to fall. My garden was dressed in ochre and gold. One afternoon while I was raking leaves, I saw a car park in front of my house. It was Stephen. He got out of the car, carrying Matthew in his arms, my grandson. My Matthew, almost a year old, with dark curls and enormous eyes. I stood frozen. The rake fell from my hands. Stephen walked towards me, slowly, like someone approaching something fragile that could break. Hi, Mom. Hi, son. We looked at each other. 6 months of silence. 6 months of pain. 6 months of growth. This is Matthew, your grandson. The baby looked at me with curiosity. He put his hand in his mouth. He smiled. Hello, Matthew, I whispered. Tears were streaming down my face. I'm your grandmother. Can we come in? Stephen asked. His voice was trembling. Of course you can. We went into the house. Stephen put Matthew on the living room floor. The baby crawled, exploring everything, touching furniture, smiling. We sat on the sofa, one on each end, like strangers who were once everything. I'm sorry it took so long, Stephen said finally. I'm sorry. For everything. What happened, son? I woke up. I finally woke up. And I saw everything I didn't want to see. The lies, the manipulation, the truth about Chloe. Mrs. Davis told me. The debts. Yes. That was just the beginning. Then I found more things. Messages, emails, plans they had. Not just for your house, for everything. They wanted me to take out loans, to mortgage properties, all for her lifestyle. I'm sorry, Stephen. Why are you sorry? You warned me, you showed me evidence, and I chose not to see. Because I was your son, and she was your wife, and love makes us blind. It shouldn't, not like that. Matthew crawled over to me. He held on to my leg. He looked up at me and laughed. My heart exploded. Can I hold him? Of course. I picked him up. He was warm, soft. He smelled like a baby, like innocence, like the future. Hello, my love, I whispered. Grandma is late, but she's here. Matthew touched my face, his little fingers exploring my wrinkles, my tears, my smile. Mom, I need to know. Was it true? There it was, the question I had avoided for months. Yes. Did Chloe really put laxative in your tea to hurt you? Yes, but I switched the cups, and she ended up hurting her own mother. Stephen closed his eyes. A tear rolled down his cheek. I asked her, a month ago, directly. I told her I needed the truth, that if she lied, it was over. And what did she say? She confessed, through tears, said it was an impulse, that she was desperate, that she thought if you felt sick, fragile, you would agree to sell, that she didn't realize the danger, that she was sorry. And you believed her. I wanted to, but I don't know what to believe anymore. I don't know who she really is. Maybe she's both, the scared woman who makes terrible mistakes, and the calculating woman who only thinks of herself. How did you live with that all these months, knowing she tried to poison you and not being able to tell me without me thinking you were crazy? It was hell. I'm so sorry, Mom. I'm so sorry. Stephen broke down. He cried like a child, like I hadn't seen him cry since Isaac died. I moved closer, still holding Matthew, and I hugged my son. Shh, it's over. You're here now. You know the truth. I failed. I failed you as a son. No, my love, you loved. And love sometimes makes us make the wrong decisions, but it also gives us the chance to fix them. We stayed like that for a long time, hugging, with Matthew in the middle, 3 generations, broken but together again. What's going to happen now? I asked finally. The divorce is final. There's no going back. Chloe is in psychological treatment. She says she's going to change, that she's going to work on herself. And I want to believe her, for Matthew, but I can't be with her. And Matthew shared custody. But I have him most of the time, because Chloe needs to fix herself first before she can take care of someone else. And you, how are you? Destroyed, rebuilding, learning who I am without her, and discovering that I don't like who I became. The man who believed his wife over his mother, the man who chose comfort over truth. You're human, Stephen, and humans make mistakes. Do you forgive me? I looked at him, my son, my boy, now a father, now a broken man, but more real than ever. I already forgave you months ago, when I decided that even if I lost you, I wouldn't lose myself. Stephen and Matthew stayed for dinner. I made chicken soup, fresh bread, hot chocolate, like in the old days, but they weren't the old days. They were new times. More honest, more difficult, but more real. When they left, Stephen hugged me at the door. Can I come back with Matthew? Can I bring him often? This is your house, son. It always was. It always will be. And you? Are you going to be okay? I'm going to be more than okay. I'm blooming. I said it, and it was true. That night alone again in my house, I didn't feel loneliness. I felt whole. Because I had learned something fundamental. Justice doesn't always come with judges and sentences. Sometimes it just arrives as revealed truth, as natural consequences, as karma. Chloe lost her marriage, her stability, her perfect image, not because of my revenge, but because of her own decisions. Mrs. Davis lost her arrogance, her power, her illusion of control, and had to face what she had created. And I didn't lose anything. On the contrary, I won. I won my dignity, my peace, my life, and I won something else, something unexpected. The certainty that I can be alone without being empty, that I can bloom in winter, that life always collects its debts, and that sometimes the best act of justice is simply to survive and to bloom and to be happy. Despite everything, it's been 2 years since that October afternoon when Stephen brought Matthew for the first time. 2 years in which everything changed, and at the same time, everything found its place. Stephen comes every week, sometimes with Matthew, sometimes alone. We drink coffee in the garden, we talk about life, about work, about Matthew, who is almost 3 now and talks nonstop. Grandma, why do flowers smell? Because that's how they attract the bees, my love, so the bees can help them make more flowers. And do you attract bees? Sometimes, I say smiling. Sometimes I do. Chloe finished her treatment. She got a job as a freelance designer. She lives modestly without luxuries, learning to fill her voids with therapy and not with credit cards. I saw her once 6 months ago at a coffee shop. It was accidental. We both just stood there not knowing what to do. Finally, she approached. Rachel, Chloe, can we talk? Just 5 minutes. I nodded. We sat at a corner table. She ordered tea. I ordered coffee. I don't expect you to forgive me, she began. I don't deserve forgiveness. No. But I want you to know, I'm in therapy, 3 times a week. I'm working on myself, on understanding why I did what I did. And do you understand now? A little. I think my whole life I valued myself based on external things. The house I lived in, the clothes I wore, the image I projected. And when I felt like I wasn't enough, I bought things, I controlled, I destroyed. And now I'm learning to be enough, just by myself, without the houses, without the luxuries, just me. I'm happy for you. Really. Yes, because even though you hurt me, I don't wish you ill. I just wish you peace, and that you find your way. Her eyes filled with tears. Thank you. That's more than I deserve. Maybe, or maybe we all deserve second chances, but with consequences. I'm living them, every day. We said goodbye that afternoon, not as friends. We will never be friends, but maybe as two women who hurt each other and are learning to let go. Mrs. Davis died 8 months ago, a heart attack, quick. Painless, they say. I went to the funeral, for Stephen, and because despite everything I understood something. She was also a victim of a system that taught her that her value was in what she possessed. Chloe cried at the funeral like an orphan. Stephen held her, not as a husband, but as the father of her child, as someone who understands pain. I stood in the back watching, and I thought we are all broken in some way. Some of us admit it, others spend their lives hiding it. My house is still mine, and it will be until I decide otherwise. Stephen doesn't ask about it anymore. He no longer needs this house to be happy, because he learned something fundamental. Home isn't a place, it's a state of the soul. Matthew comes every weekend. We play in the garden. I teach him to plant seeds, to water the bougainvillea, to wait patiently for the jasmine to bloom. Grandma, are you happy? Yes, my love, very. Why? Because I learned that happiness doesn't depend on everything going right. It depends on you being right with yourself, even if everything around you is broken. I don't understand. You will. Someday when you're older and life hits you, you'll remember your grandma and you'll understand. The book club still meets every Thursday. There are 12 of us now, women of all ages, all with stories of resilience. Estelle is still my best friend. Her adopted granddaughter is 3 now. She calls Estelle Nana. And it's the most beautiful thing to see how love finds unexpected ways to materialize. My cooking classes grew. Now I give workshops twice a week. Women come from all over the city. Some just want to learn recipes. Others come because they need a safe space, a place to talk, to be seen. Mrs. Rachel, you saved my life, a 28-year-old girl told me last month. Not with the cooking, but with the stories you tell while we cook. You made me realize I'm not alone. You're never alone, sweetie. As long as there's one woman who survived before you, there's a path. You just have to find it. The cup is still put away, in the legal trust, along with all the evidence. I haven't needed it. I hope I never do, but it's there, as a reminder, as a shield, as a promise that I will never again be the woman who lets herself be destroyed in silence. A month ago, Stephen came with news. Mom, I was offered a job in Chicago, a really good one, but it would mean moving. My heart tightened, but I smiled. And what are you going to do? I don't know. I want the job, but I don't want to move away from you. Stephen, look at me. I looked him in the eye. My son, my man, 46 now, with some gray hair, with wrinkles he didn't have before, with wisdom earned the hard way. I'm going to be fine. I have my life, my friends, my classes, my house, my garden. I don't need you to stay for me. But Matthew can visit me, and I can go to Chicago. It's not a long flight. Really. Live your life, son. I've already lived mine, and believe me, it was beautiful, scars and all. His eyes filled with tears. When did you get so wise? When I stopped being afraid. Fear makes us small. Freedom makes us immense. They are moving next month. Stephen Matthew and a new girlfriend he met 6 months ago. A good woman, a psychologist, divorced too, with a 5-year-old daughter. I met her 3 weeks ago. Her name is Andrea. She has kind eyes and a genuine laugh. Mrs. Smith, Stephen talks about you all the time, about your strength. Strength is just another name for survival, sweetie. Maybe, but not everyone survives with so much grace. Last night I was in the garden, alone, under the stars. The jasmine is blooming, filling the air with a sweet perfume, intense, alive. I sat under the bougainvillea, the same one we sat under that afternoon of the tea, 2.5 years ago, and I thought about everything that happened, about the woman I was, scared, small, begging for love, and the woman I am, free, whole, blooming. If I had to do it all over again, would I change anything? Maybe. I might have acted sooner, set boundaries from the beginning. I wouldn't have let Chloe install herself in my life with such confidence. But I also know that everything had to happen this way, because every blow taught me something. Every betrayal showed me my strength. Every loss revealed what truly matters. Today I received a letter from Chloe, the first in 2 years. Rachel, I don't know if you'll read this. I don't know if you care, but I need to write it. I'm 2 years sober from compulsive shopping. It sounds silly, but it's real. Like an alcoholic who doesn't drink. I don't shop. I live with what I need, and it's liberating. I also marked 1 year without lying, not even white lies. It's harder than I thought, but it's the only way to rebuild myself. Matthew asked about you last week. I told him you are the strongest woman I've ever known, and that someday I hope to be a fraction of who you are. I'm not asking for your forgiveness. Not anymore. Because I know forgiveness isn't asked for. It's earned, and I'm still on the path to earning it. I just want you to know that your example saved me. Because when everything fell apart, when I lost everything, I remembered that you remained standing. Alone, dignified, blooming. And I thought if she could do it, maybe I can too. Thank you for not destroying me when you could have. Thank you for letting karma do its job. Thank you for being just cruel enough to let me live with the consequences of my actions. Because those consequences are teaching me what privilege never could. Humility. Chloe. I read the letter twice. I put it in my memory box next to photos of Isaac, letters from Stephen when he was a boy. Matthew's first drawing. I didn't answer, not yet. Maybe never, because some things don't need an answer, just to be acknowledged. This morning a woman knocked on my door. She was about 45, tired eyes, trembling hands. "Excuse me, are you Rachel Smith?" "Yes, how can I help you?" "My name is Patricia. My cousin Estelle told me about you. She said you survived your family, and that maybe you could talk to me." I looked at her. I saw my own reflection from 3 years ago, scared, broken, looking for a way out. "Come in, sweetie. I'll make some coffee, and we're going to talk as long as you need." Her eyes filled with tears. "Thank you." We spent 3 hours talking. She told me her story, her controlling husband, her children who don't listen, her mother-in-law who despises her, her desire to disappear. I told her mine, not all of it, but enough. And at the end, I told her the same thing I wish someone had told me 3 years ago. You are not crazy. You are not exaggerating, and you are not alone. There are millions of women like you, like me, surviving families that want us to be small. But we are enormous. We just have to remember it. Patricia left with my number, with the address for APS, with Martha's name, with hope. And I stayed in my living room, looking at the garden through the window, and I understood something. This was my mission now, not just to bloom, but to teach other women to bloom, to defend their dignity, to not negotiate themselves, to survive with grace. This afternoon, Matthew came to visit, just him and me. We played in the garden. I taught him how to make flower necklaces. We got our hands dirty with soil. We laughed like crazy. "Grandma, I love you so much." "I love you too, my angel." "Dad says you're his hero." "Does he? And what do you think?" "I think you're magic, like a fairy, but an old one." I laughed until my stomach hurt. "Yes, my love, I'm an old fairy, and this is my magic." I survived, and I didn't let them make me invisible. What's invisible? It's when people stop seeing you, stop listening to you, like you don't exist. But you exist a lot. Yes, Matthew, I exist a lot. And you're going to exist a lot too, always, I promise. Tonight, as I write these memories in my journal, I think of all of you who are listening, of all the women who are going through something similar, who feel alone, invisible, attacked by the people who should love them. And I want to tell you something. You are not crazy. Your feelings are valid. Your pain is real. And you have the right to defend yourself, to set boundaries, to say no, to bloom, to exist in your full immensity, because life always collects its debts, not with vengeance, but with truth. Those who hurt you eventually hurt themselves, because that is the nature of karma. It's not divine punishment, it's natural consequence. And in the meantime, you get to choose. You can choose to break. Or you can choose to bloom. I chose to bloom. And against all odds I did. With my garden, with my friends, with my classes, with my grandson, with my dignity intact, with my truth saved but protected, with my life, this life, the one I built from the ashes of the one they tried to destroy. If my story helps just one woman to open her eyes, it will have been worth it. Every tear, every night alone, every difficult decision. Because in the end, it's not about revenge, it's about justice. And the most powerful justice is this living well, blooming, being happy, despite everything, and teaching the world that a woman who refuses to be small is a force of nature. This is my story, the story of a woman who survived poison, literal and metaphorical, and who learned that the best antidote isn't revenge, it's life itself, lived on your own terms, with dignity, with grace, with flowers in the garden and fire in the heart. If you're listening to this, if you're going through something similar, remember, you are stronger than you think. You deserve love that doesn't ask you to disappear, and you have the right to bloom, always. Thank you for listening to the end, for walking with me on this journey, for allowing me to share my truth. If this story touched your heart, subscribe and hit the bell to hear more stories from Elderly Stories, where we transform pain into wisdom. Every day, a new woman, a new life lesson. Share this story with someone you love. Sometimes a story like this can change someone's entire day. God bless you, and may you bloom, always. Until next time.